Alrighty, 4 o'clock here, so I'll call the Housing Commission meeting together for Monday, September 16. And I guess our first thing is do roll call here. Joyce? Here. Tori? And Donald? Here. And welcome. And Matt, I'm here. So yeah, welcome. We'll go through this. It's pretty simple, but if you have any questions at all I know Malia was kind of briefing you when I walked in, but so if I'm being repetitive, just feel free to ask a question. Don't feel dumb. We all are new. Well, I still ask questions and I've been doing this for a while, but there's always new things. So, and anyway, our first thing is to go over the minutes from our August meeting and ask if anyone has any questions or corrections. And if none, I'll ask for a motion to approve them.
A motion to approve the August minutes.
Great. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for August. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next we'll look at the August financial report. Yeah, and as you'll notice, Donald, you wonder why some of these are at 100% already when we're not 100% through the fiscal year, but they're things that they typically pay off right at the beginning of the new fiscal year, just to, I don't know if they get a better deal making payment in full, but
Yeah,
probably.
to your point, oh, that's really loud. There are fixed costs in the city, so there are just things that are not gonna be variable, that we just pay them at the beginning of the fiscal year. And so you'll notice those that are already paid in that last month, and those would be like, the property insurance, liability insurance, those are paid upfront.
I can remember that being one of my early questions, and say, how can we be all the way through? Does anyone have any? Joyce is still going over with her comb there.
I got one question
is
in
fine.
regards to the expenditure column, the two there for software and professional services. What are those figures supposed to be there?
Those are actually, because there's nothing to put in there, those came from public housing funds and it's zero. I can't get it out. So if you see software PH funds, if you remember, we had funding once we sold the properties, the public housing properties. We're still utilizing that funding. And so some of our additional costs will come out of public housing. And last year, that was our software cost to increase our, we added HQS, I'm sorry that this is so loud. I don't know how to decrease the sound, but it sounds really loud to me. Increase the efficiency of the department. So we purchased iPads and we purchased the HQS mobile inspection. We purchased the package for rent reasonableness because through a software company, because we weren't able to access rents through our current software system. And so that was an added section last year. There's nothing there now, but because there's nothing for me to input, it automatically creates that div 0. I don't know why. It's some sort of Excel snafu, but it is a 0. So if we were to utilize our public housing funds for anything in our budget, then there would be some dollars there. So there would be some expenditures there.
Let me ask this, Malia, how much of that money got to stay in-house? Because I know the city has other plans for a lot of that money?
I know we have a significant amount within the department. That decision was made way before me. I'm not sure how that money was divvied up. I have to be honest with you, Commissioner Weising. I just know that we have significant, a few $100,000 still in the public housing fund, and we're dwindling down on that because the city supplements whatever HUD administrative fees don't cover for salaries and benefits and administrative costs. So as that, as we accrue costs that are not covered through the HUD funding for administrative costs we receive, the city supplements that at the end of the fiscal year.
Gotcha.
Right now by using our public housing funds.
Okay, so you still have some in there. This isn't,
Yep, yes, we still have that and we're still utilizing it for additional services like staff. I sent my staff to a housing conference a couple weeks ago, so we're able to access some travel funds from there, pulling from the public housing proceeds.
gotcha. Okay, are there any other questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve these.
I make a motion to approve the August financials.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the August financial report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Now we'll go on to our utilization report here. So it looks like you've added a couple, Malia.
We have added a few more vouchers. However, actually, I wouldn't say we added vouchers. I would say there were vouchers that obtained housing within the last month. And then we've lost vouchers for natural attrition. So that we lose about 7 to 10 people either naturally fall off of the program due to, you know, not following program guidelines or having zero HAP, so we're not paying assistance for them and they've been on the program for 6 months, or they're deceased. So all of these things occur, and so we lose people, but then people obtain housing that have been on the waiting list that have been looking because they have 120 to 150 days to look for housing.
Did you possibly want to kind of explain this utilization report to Donald so he understands what he's looking at here?
Sure. So, and this is one thing that we've talked about restructuring just a little bit so that, because there's more to the utilization numbers than just this, but what we have here is by bedroom size. So we have identified the numbers of bedrooms that we are assisting in the program. And so we have currently, based off our previous voucher standard or subsidy standard, we were 2 heartbeats per room, okay? And we've since modified that with our newer administrative plan, with updates to our administrative plan. And now we are allowing households that have children over the age of 6 that are opposite genders to request a larger bedroom size, right? So that expands us from 2-bedroom, that may expand a household from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom, depending on how many children are in the household. The head of household will always now, moving forward, have their own bedroom. That had not always been the case. With the 2 heartbeats per room policy, whether or not there was, the head of household was the only adult in the household, they would share a room with another member of the household, right? We have since changed that, and so it's now impacted the amount of spending and the size of the units that we are needing for families in the community. And we are just now, I think we implemented that back in February when we approved it with our admin plan, and we're just now seeing the financial impact of that. As you see, we're at 105% of the funding that HUD gives us on a monthly basis. We spent significant amount of money, and that's good. We want people to have housing opportunities. We want people to be comfortable in their housing, and we want them to feel that they have some independence in selecting their housing. And so that's one reason that we chose to do it. There is a financial impact. And that impact means sometimes we cannot open the wait list or pull as many people off of the wait list as a result of that. So, and that is something that I want to talk about, maybe not under the reports, but maybe under new business. So I will just kind of hold off a little bit there, not go down that rabbit hole quite yet.
Okay, because I was gonna have you go over, explain the wait list and
Yeah.
how big that is, how often we.
And I can, if with your permission, I can go ahead and kind of touch on that right now if you'd like.
As long as we're, I don't care.
So. Oh, yes, and I will be very brief. I will try. Okay, I'll be very brief. So,
The number of bedrooms that they're talking about. So if it's one bedroom, this is like 255 vouchers that are underneath the one bedroom, and like current and previous and everything. That's what those are. So we have, from 0, which is like maybe a sleeping room or something, basic, and up to 6 bedrooms.
And the 700, we have to stay in the 700 range?
well, it's based off of the funding. So they allocate us so much funding, and when you pull a family, you don't know if you're gonna have a family of 8 or a family of 2 or a family of 1, right? So it's a crapshoot at that point. And your payment standard is what your payment standard is. You're honored to that payment standard. And so what we're finding is fair market rents are going to go up significantly in October, and I intend to present more information on that to you as a housing commission as I propose that we decrease the payment standard. And I don't want to dive too much into that without having the information available for you to review prior to our meeting. But there are some financial implications as a housing authority that we have to look at if we choose not to reduce that payment standard. And I want to be able to talk that through, what some of the challenges are, especially if we're looking at housing more people in the community. Because as it is, our current wait list, we're not pulling from that wait list because we're spending far more money on fewer families because we increase the subsidy size. And that will I think it would make more sense if we left that conversation where I had an opportunity to provide you with some visuals of what that might look like. Yep. But as to your point, our wait list opened in 2022. It had not been open for 5 years. We opened the wait list for 2 days, for 8 hours a day, from 8 to 5, I believe. We didn't close for lunch breaks or anything, and we took in 1,166 applications. In August of 2023, we did a purge for that wait list. So we sent letters out to the remaining 900 and some odd people that were on the wait list, getting their updated information, because we wanted to keep a fresh wait list as we began to start pulling again. We received somewhere around 600 back, okay? And so we thus eliminated 300 and some odd people from the wait list. From that point, we've been pulling from the wait list since January of 2024. We have not pulled from the wait list since June of 2024 because, again, as stated, when someone receives a voucher, they have 120 to 150 days. So they have up to 5 months to seek housing. And there are a lot of variables that impact how quickly people find housing. Do they have security deposit? Do they have some issues in their background? Have they had prior evictions? Are there enough landlords out there willing to work that have housing available to meet their needs? So it can take a while for a voucher to be what we say on the street and available before it actually gets leased up. For that reason, we don't pull every month from the wait list. We pull for a period of time and then we allow people to find housing and then we reevaluate our funding. We did a couple of things when I first started 2 years ago to assist households to find rent, places quicker, and that was increase the payment standard to 120% of the fair market rent. That was very successful. We spent a lot of money. We had a lot of money in reserves, and we were able to spend that down. We are now since kind of plateauing from that, right? And so that's something that I want to talk to moving forward. But that brings us, we have had good success in getting people housed. Our success rate is 68%. 80% of our vouchers that are issued do find housing. So we are in fact helping the community. And so while we don't have a definitive date to open up the wait list again, at some point in the future, I'm sure we would like to open up the wait list more frequently and assist our target populations that we have identified in our administrative plan. So I think that answers your question, maybe?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted you to explain that part too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All sink in right away, right?
I understand that.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Staller, did you have any questions? I know we haven't really touched on the wait list because it's not something that we've, since you've started your commission, that we've really discussed very much.
No, I think we're good. I mean, you've explained it
Okay.
to me too, so yeah, all good. Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions or discussion on this, I'll ask for a motion to approve the utilization report for August.
I make a motion to approve the utilization report for August.
I second.
Great, it's been moved and seconded to approve the utilization report for August. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those pass, so. Now, do we have anything under communications here? Is that anything that is new?
We are looking for an administrative assistant for the Community and Economics Development Department, and they would
I
work.
just saw that listing the other day.
Yeah, so they would work part-time for the HCV program. So if you know anyone that is interested, the position is listed. Please have them apply, because we would like, to get this position filled as soon as possible. So that is all from the communications as far as availability. And we will have someone, a housing coordinator that will be retiring within the next 4 months. So I will keep you updated on that as well.
Do you know, can you say what the pay is? I just know someone that'd be interested. I didn't know if that was like posted or.
I would say it pays moderately well for that position, for the type of position it is. And the position is split between the housing office and the other department in community and economic development, which be like urban homestead
That
and
was the other
dream.
question I had. If it was a shared position.
It is a
upstairs,
shared
so-
position, yeah.
So it's full-time, but.
It
it's
is
just-
full-time, that's correct.
It is, or,
It is, yes.
It is full-time. I was gonna ask her.
but it's just called part-time?
Oh, no. So the responsibilities are split. So it would be working with both departments.
Okay, so, but it is a full-time job?
It is a full-time
Okay.
position,
It's on Indeed.
Okay.
full-time with benefits, so,
Saw
yes.
it pop up just the other day. And if you know a paralegal, the city's looking for one of those. too.
Yes, yes.
No, I just know some, obviously there's people that lost their jobs at Deere and,
Yeah, absolutely. Have them apply as soon as possible. It's been listed since last Tuesday, so I don't know how much longer it will stay listed, but I think it's still available. So we are, yes, looking, so, I'm filling in administratively and performing my duties as well, so bear with me if you don't hear from me and get a response quickly. But yeah, that's all I have for communications, Commissioner.
Yeah, it must be on the city website too, because I know they always post the paper ones out in the hallway. So for some reason, I still get Indeed feeds, so it's kind of curious, different things that open up in the community.
cool.
Okay. Do we have anything under old business? Or new, were we gonna talk about these bylaws?
So I believe it's good practice to review your bylaws and your conflict of interest. And as we know, we just did the conflict of interest training. I think Nicole Gleason did that in April or May. I can't remember. I'm sorry. And I wanted to pass, we have 2 new commissioners who may not be familiar with the bylaws. I was recently notified that we are required to have a vice chair for this commission. And so that is something that I will have to find out what the process is to go about doing that.
We
But
do have one,
we do?
Yolanda.
Yolanda is the vice chair? Okay, it was not identified to me that she was the vice chair. Okay, I'll make note of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
she got stuck in the airport today, so coming home, she was supposed to be home earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, that's what she told me. Yeah, she told me she would have been here,
Okay.
but she's stuck. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was gonna
unfortunately.
tell you, and then I got busy and didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
sent me a text.
Okay. Yeah, so Yolanda Roberts is the vice chair. Okay, great. That's that. And so, just as a refresher, I think it's good practice to just kind of have an opportunity to review the bylaws. If anything needs updating, it's definitely that, you know, within our capacity to highlight that. If you have any questions and I'm unable to answer it, it's something that I can take back to Bruce, who's been here forever and a day, and get clarification on. So that wasn't, I just provided that to you as kind of a reference. The new business that I have is that there are new payment standards that will be effective October 1st. And those new payment standards, just fair market rents, are significantly high and very close to where we are at the 120% payment standard. So, that is why I would like to have a discussion. And next month, I just remembered next month Kelly will be presenting on FYI, which is the Foster Youth to Independence Program. So maybe next month is not the opportunity. It's up to you. I can present on the payment standards and the changes, or we can delay that until November. Because we are under the 120% payment standard waiver until December of 2024. So nothing would change irregardless until January, but I did want to make you aware of what that change would look like. So I could delay it till our November session if that works, and still keep the FYI presentation for October.
And those rates are set by HUD.
That is correct. HUD sets those rates. We pull those rates from their site every year.
I mean, as long as November gives you enough time to, yeah.
I believe so, yep.
Okay. Was gonna ask you when Kelly was gonna school us again.
She is looking forward to presenting on FYI in the month of October, and then HUD VASH in the month of December.
Okay. And those are programs, Donald, that are run by this office, so.
And again, I say FYI, again, these acronyms, okay, FYI is Foster Youth to Independence. It's a program for youth that are coming out of the foster care system to prevent them from being homeless. They work with a program called Aftercare, which is funded through the Family Resources and Iowa Health and Human Services. And we administer the voucher for them. And so they're able to stay in the program for 3 years, obtain housing, get case management to go further in their schooling, or to get jobs, to become more self-sufficient. And so that program started here in July of 2021, and we started with 8 vouchers, and now we have 28. And I'm not gonna take Kelly's shine away, but that's kind of the brief, broad brush of the program. Our HUD VASH program is our Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing Program, and that's been around for a long time. But I can't give you the date. It's not as new as Foster Youth Independence. And we partner with the local VA, and we administer the voucher. They provide case management, and there's not a timeline that the VASH participant can be in the program. They can be in the program as long as they need to be in the program.
Are you saying BASH?
VASH, I'm sorry,
VASH.
Veterans Affairs.
I was like,
Supportive-
BASH does not make sense.
Let me speak a little bit more into the mic.
I got it. I should have understood
Veteran-
VA, yeah, okay.
Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing. And so we have had tremendous success with both programs. And so she's going to talk about our highlights, how people get into the program, what the supportive services look like, what the role of the PH is, what the role of the supportive service providers are, and then provide you with some stats at the end of the presentation.
Cool.
And that will be in October. And that is all I have for new business.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to talk about or mention? See, October
I'm good.
21 is the
Next meeting?
listing for the next meeting, and
For our newer commissioners, is anyone, I just wanted to see if we could open the floor just to kind of talk about how long we've been on the commission, or just a couple of seconds
oh, for the newer one?
for the newer ones.
Oh,
Say, I don't remember when I started. Was it like
just a few months ago.
May?
Yeah, I think it was May.
May? So I just started in May. Yeah.
I started probably 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more.
Was it 6 years ago?
I could look it up,
I think I'm doing starting my third or fourth year now. so
Okay.
so maybe it has been more than that.
Time flies.
I say, can you have that many years in one? Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was a 2-year.
Well, it
before
is
you
too-
renew. So you can reapply and, yep,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, my name is Donald. I'm kind of new to the city. I've been here for 5 years. And I wanted to get on the commission because I'm an investor and I invest in real estate. So most of them is over there in Rock Island, though, but just to understand how the city go about giving out funds and stuff to Section 8 people and all of the programs that I have. So that's what I was most interested in. I seen somebody posted it was an opening, so I figured I'd jump in and see what I can learn.
Welcome.
Learn and add.
Mm-hmm.
Add to us too.
That's right. And we're always learning. I'm learning a lot. So. Well, I guess I've been here 2 years. I've been with the city for 2 years. I've run all kinds of federal programs, worked for the military for a couple of years and worked in the community and ran transitional housing and rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. And this is by far the most complex program that I've ever worked on.
Wow.
No, the Section 8 program is
So
the
she works for the city on, as part of the commission.
I manage the program, so I do it all.
So do we just mainly focus on Section 8?
That is the only program that we are running. The city used to have public housing, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we sold public housing. I think we are still trying to close out of public housing. We're still waiting on some signatures to happen, but all of our paperwork is done. But we got out of public housing in 2022.
And how long do the people on Section 8 get to stay? Until,
There's not a time cap on Section 8. There are specific, it's really interesting where they draw the line. So you have foster youth independents, and they can only be on the program, only on the voucher for 3 years. But your regular vouchers, I met a gentleman today who was on the program since 1976, right? So there's not a definitive date. People term out the program for their own reasons. They get zero HAP, and they're automatically termed out of the program by program regulation. But people stay on the program. Very, very few people on our program, households, are zero income. We only have 19 households that are zero income, which means we pay all of their rent. Only 19 out of 704 vouchers. So contrary to some belief that most people in Section 8 don't have income or do not pay, they are required to pay 30% of their income to rent. So most people, let's say 90% of the people in the program pay a portion of rent.
and 704 is the number of heartbeats? Or is that just?
Household numbers.
Household?
Yeah, we probably serve a few thousand people in the program, but those are the households. Every one of those numbers on that sheet represents a household.
Okay.
Those are great questions. Keep those coming. Yep. Well, commissioners, that's all I've got. If you guys have any questions for me, please let me know.
I'm
don't
fine
think
with
so.
today.
If not, I'll ask
Fast
for.
one today, yeah.
Pardon?
It says a quick one today.
Yeah.
Well, you threatened us. Made us feel guilty about your kids.
I just can't stay all night is all I was saying.
I'm just kind of glancing through.
I don't
some of
really
the-
want to go get them, no.
The deals on these bylaws, and I haven't seen them either.
Oh, you haven't?
Uh-uh.
I'm glad then I'm
Which
glad. I thought it would be
I
a
mean,
good.
a lot of it's common sense, but I haven't seen the bylaws before.
Yeah, well, that's good. And again, this is the opportunity to say, hey, what does this mean? Or, do they need to be updated? Is this something that we need to be reviewing to make those changes? And so that's why I wanted to provide them to you. So,
In like 2 minutes, could you give me like a a couple of the conflict of interest things that you could think?
So
I see a lot of them.
one of them, which would be the primary concern, would be that there would be a relationship between someone on this commission and a family member, an immediate family member, that is a landlord in the program. Because you're making financial decisions, such as the payment standard, and if there's a benefit that's connected to you as a commissioner, that's considered a conflict of interest. That would be the primary, because you can't make decisions for something that would impact your finances, right? If you were related to a family member that worked in this department, or some relation to a family member that worked in this department that had confidential information, and you would be making financial decisions or programmatic decisions for the program, because that's what you do as a housing commission, then that could be considered a conflict of interest. But if you have some concerns of what that might look like in the future, please bring those concerns to me. They can be, we can discuss that. But any financial, so when we did our conflict of interest training, financial disclosure is one thing that you sign off on in your application, that you don't have any vested financial interest in the program, so that, the books are clean. Like, we're not, we're very apparent, and there's no decision-making by our commissioners about the finances that they would be receiving.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, that's great. No, that's a great question. I mean, it's a small community, and we know people, and I know people. And, I have just very clear about where the lines are, and I think it's important to have those discussions and then that understanding, so, yeah. It's a great question.
Anything else? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Hearing none, we're adjourned.